Hey, what's going on everybody? Today's video is all about maximizing performance from your Mercedes engine. And so one of the ways to do that is with spark plugs and wires. And so spark plugs and wires are a great way to just get the most reliability, the most efficiency, the most power, the most MPG from your engine. And it's simple and easy to do. And so today I'm going to show you how. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do before changing the spark plugs is we're going to remove the air filter. So we're going to take off this front cover, place it over to the side. Then we're going to remove the air ducts. And be careful if you do have a dipstick to not let your hand slip too fast because you could damage your dipstick. That's one of the reasons I recommend the cap over the dipstick. So let's go ahead and just gently remove this. We'll do the same to the other side. Next we'll go ahead and remove our air filter. Okay, so we have our air intake exposed. And so the best thing to do is to cover that up, and I like to use a glove. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our wiring harness. And these clips are very fragile and they just have a tendency to break really easily once you move them. So there's rebuild kits, hopefully, I'm not sure, but it's not really too big of a deal because you can zip tie them. You'll have a zip tie right here, and I went ahead and removed it, but you can zip tie. So if you really want to, you can zip tie them down. But aside from that, it's not too big of a deal. And then also, if you are buying a pre-owned S Class, then you know, one of the things to check to see if these are broken, and then you'll know that the spark plugs have been changed. Hopefully that's the case. All right, so let's go ahead and just remove these, and they'll just pop out just like this. We'll go ahead and remove this one, and then remove that. And then we'll just sit this wiring harness off to the side here. And then once we're done with everything, then we can just use some electric parts cleaner to clean these. Okay, so now the next thing is we're going to remove each of our coil packs. And as you can see, I've numbered them from 1 to 4, starting closest to the firewall. And the reason that I've done this is because I like to go in a loop. So on the other side of the engine, it's already going to start 5, 6, 7, 8, which matches the valve cover. Underneath these coil packs, there's going to be a number, but the number starts 1, 2, 3, 4 going this way. But just to eliminate confusion, for me, I like to do the U, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 on the other side, 5, 6, 7, 8. But it's totally up to you how you want to label them, and if you don't even feel like you need to label them, then that's fine as well. Just whatever helps make the job easier. Okay, so next we're going to take a T30 Torx bit and we're going to go ahead and loosen these coil packs up, and then we'll grab our open-end wrench and we'll remove the wires from the spark plugs as well. Alright, so let's get started on that. Okay, so we'll just take our T30 Torx bit, get inside right here, and just go ahead and all we want to do is just kind of break off that tightness there that's on these bolts, and we'll go ahead and thread it in there, get this going, thread it in there, get this one going, thread it in there, and get this one going. Okay, then after okay, so I'll go ahead and pull this one out, and as you can see right here, there's another coil pack in the way, but I'll remove that one soon. but you'll see some letters and numbers, and we'll talk about those in a minute. We're going to take our open-end wrench, and I will put a link in the description below for this wrench if you're interested, and it just helps a lot for us removing these wires. So now what we'll do is we'll just take the open-end side, and we'll come in from the top part of the, we'll just come in from the top part of the spark plug, and then we'll just pry it like that. And that's it. So that's what we're going to do for all of our wires. I'm just going to go ahead and unplug them. Okay, so now that we have everything removed, as you can see here are these letters and numbers again. And so going back to the ordering, you see there's a 2, a 3, and a 4, and that just pretty much represents the numbers for the order. And so I just went backwards, so it will start 1, 2, 3, 4, and I just like going the other way. For this side, on the other side, the numbers start the way that I'm going regardless, or anyway. So now that we have that removed, let's go ahead and take a look at those coil packs and start putting the new wires on and everything like that. Okay, as you can see, these plugs have been in there for a while. It's always good to use anti-seize on the threads. And looking at the plug, it's nice and gray, so the fuel mixture is good. And getting a closer look at these plugs. Yeah, it's about time to be replaced. Okay, so I'm going with the Bosch spark plugs. And I will put a link in the description below. It's really bright right here, but I will put a link in the there we go. So I will put a link in the description below, but going with the Bosch. Alright, to give you a comparison on the two plugs, you can see the electrode, the tip, how the used one is completely worn down, and the one on the right is completely worn down, and the one on the left still has lots of tip left. So you can see that when you see a plug like this, that's when you want to change it. Okay, so now we have our coil off the car, and here you can see that there's this metal part right here, and this is what connects to the valve cover. This touches the valve cover, so in some ways this could be a ground, and this can be really dirty. And so a lot of times, you know, whenever there's a lot of dirt that builds up between a good metal on metal connection, then you know, shorts and poor performance can happen, especially in the electrical world. Things get pretty nutty down there. So here is what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can show you that. But there you'll see the letter G, and then on this one it's really hard to see, but there's the, well, let's see if I can kind of get it to show, but you see there's a letter L as well. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. It's really, L is really hard to see. But there is a letter there. G shows up a little bit better. Yeah, G shows up good. You can see G right there. And then on this one is L. And then you'll see the diagram right here. There's an A and there's a B. And so you want to make sure that this wire goes to A, and then this wire goes to B, and then the letters on the metal parts match the letters on the valve cover. And then that's how you'll know which spark plug wire goes to which spark plug, so that there's no confusion. So what I usually like to do when cleaning this metal part is I'll take, you know, just kind of like a napkin or something and just get in between and clean right here. And then, you know, I'll use something like some denatured alcohol or something like that and go ahead and just clean, wipe everything. If it gets really serious, you can use a brush and go from there. Okay. So once we have all that cleaned, then we can start on removing these plugs, and they'll just pop out like that. Take this one, they pop out like that, and then just go ahead and sit them on the side, and then sit your coil back down, and then these wires are no good anymore, so we can toss these. And now we're going to put on new wires. So we'll repeat this process for all eight of our coil packs. And then after that, then we can go ahead and connect everything together, get the car up and running, and we'll be solid. So let's do that. Let's put on some new wires. All right, so today I have the Bosch premium wire set here, and this is what I'm going to be going with. So as you can see, premium wire set, and then in Spanish here, got the premium wire set. So it says here lifetime guarantee, which is pretty awesome. So let's just go ahead and open these up, see what comes in the box here. Awesome. So now we're going to take all of these wires and we're going to connect them to the coil packs. And if you want, now's the good time to get out that dielectric grease, and then you can grease the spark plugs, the spark plug wire connections, but it's up to you. All right, so let's go ahead and put all of these on the car. So one easy method, so going back to this, so one easy method that we can do is that we can just remove one wire, and then we'll take the wire that we remove and replace it, and then take the other wire and replace it, one at a time, and then that way we'll just know for sure that we're replacing the right wires. You can also look at the valve cover, and the valve cover will tell you, it'll say G goes to A and then K goes to B, and that's how you can tell right away. So either way is fine, it's up to you, whatever helps you in your installation. Okay, so here we have G. Right? And so now we know that there's A is on top, B is on the bottom, and so we can take a look at our valve cover, and what we'll do is we'll see that for our number 4, or however you ordered it, G goes to B. So now we're going to go back and we're going to say, okay, we have G, G goes to B, just like this. And that's it. So now we have G going to B. Okay. Okay, so now that we've located L, it might actually be easier just to open all these at once, but now we have the letter L, and here on this brand new one you can see L a lot better. So from there, now we know that L goes on A. So we'll take L and we'll connect it to A. And we want to make sure that there's a positive connection. You'll hear a little snapping noise. Okay, so now we have L going to A and then G going to B. So now we're set. So this is our new lineup right here. And then we can just set that aside and take our old set here, and I'll show you the other way. So what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll clean it, make sure it's all nice and clean, and then okay, so now what we'll do this time, this one's really dirty as you can see, but this is H. So we'll go ahead and we'll pull H off, right? We're just going to leave H off and keep, which one is this? And we're going to keep G on. So we know that this is H. Now we'll go ahead and we'll look for an H. So let's see if we can find an H somewhere in here. All right, so here we go. We have our H. Okay, so we've located H right here, and because we haven't removed B, we know that H has to go to A. So we can go ahead and just connect H to A, and now we have B to remove, and we know that that's going to be G, and because there's no other one, we can just go ahead and remove it, and then we can get G right here and go ahead and plug it in, making sure it's nice and positive. So that's the two ways to do it. You can either remove both at the same time and look at the valve cover for reference, or you can just remove one at a time and then use the process of elimination to find the correct plug wire for each, for A and B. All right, so let's do that for all of our coil packs, and then we can go ahead and put these back on the car. All right. Let's get started. Okay, so now that we're back, remember that we started 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I'm going to start with 3 just because that's the most visible, since this part right here is blocking 4. So remember, if you decided to use the valve cover as a reference, then A goes to H, B goes to G. And so what that means is that G is going to be on this side and H is going to be on this side. All right, so just to make sure that we have everything correct, H is going to A, and then we have G is going to B, which is right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put these on here. So remember, it'll be like this, and then we'll go ahead and see if I can show you that a little bit better. Okay, so that is going to be H, And then just to double check, this is going to be G. Okay. All right. So then we can just sit this right here. Now, when you install the plugs, the wires onto the plugs, you want to take your wrench here and then you want to just go ahead and push it in until you feel a pretty positive connection. Sometimes that might be a little snapping noise or just like you'll feel it seat. So then we'll take that and we'll just go ahead like that. That was a good one. All right, and then so once they're on, then we can go ahead and check. All right, they're good. And we can set this on like so. Because these wires are so new that they're kind of pushing that coil pack off. And then we'll just go ahead and thread this back through. Now that we have our coil pack installed and our plug wires connected to our spark plugs, we'll just take some electrical parts cleaner, and then we'll just go ahead and spray the inside like that and spray the inside like that, and then just to make sure everything's clean, and then we'll let that dry. Just take a towel, paper towel, and kind of soak everything up. But that's what I recommend, just because the engine area is dirty and we want to make sure that things are nice and clean. And then give it some time to air out before you do connect it. And then so in the meantime though, we'll go ahead and we'll do this for all four, or I guess you can say now all three coil packs. So now that we have our new wires on, we'll go ahead and install them. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we have our new wires back on and everything is set to go. So we're just going to take now we're going to torque down these bolts to 8 Newton meters. All right, so we have this side completed and we'll just perform the exact same thing to the other side. So one pro tip that I want to share with you when removing the spark plugs themselves is you may not be able to get to the spark plug with the socket, the extension, and the ratchet all together. So one cool thing to do is just detach it like this and then put the socket in first, right? So you'll put the socket in first and then you'll follow up with the ratchet. So that's just one thing to keep in mind, especially on the other side, on the driver's side, it does get pretty tight. So that's one trick that I will use to get into those tight spots. So, all right, so yeah, we're going to perform the same thing to the other side, and then after that, we can go ahead and put everything together, put the airbox back on, and take her out for a test drive. All right, so let's get started with that. All right, so here you can see that continuing that U, I go 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So you can see that toward the firewall on the driver's side, it does get really tight. Especially next to this fuel line, and so what I will do is I will just disconnect my socket and extension from the ratchet, and I'll go ahead and put the socket in first and then follow that up with the ratchet, and then that'll allow me to loosen up the spark plug, and then from there I can just disconnect the ratchet again and then pull the spark plug out. So, but that all depends on what tool you're using. If you have a shorter extension or a swivel spark plug remover, then this may not apply. But if you're using a socket that's pretty long with an extension, then this is just something to consider. All right, everybody, so we're done. We have our plugs in, we have our new wires on, and we have our coil packs cleaned and they're back on the engine. So now it's time to start it up and listen to how she's going to sound. All right, so let's go ahead and give her a start. And there you have it, folks. The engine is running super smooth. There's a nice smell, that nice, just clean burning smell that lets you know that the fuel mixture is right. Everything sounds good. Don't hear any loud ticking coming from any of the spark plugs. So yes, everything is great. So everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.